That was a common Bengals W, I guess. I mean, listen, I can barely say it with a straight face. What's up, guys? I'm Sean Ross Sapp. It is October 7th, the rare midweek common Bengals W podcast. Not a lot of reasons for me to do these. Instead, I post shorts of like babies racing puppies and flyovers from Denver and all kinds of stuff like that. But I said I would go live if the Cincinnati Bengals made a move for quarterback, and they did make a move for quarterback. They acquired Joe Flacco from the Denver Broncos. Or not the Denver Broncos. I was thinking of the Denver Broncos because I was at their game last week. So I already messed up my intro. From the Cleveland Browns. It is a pick swap. The Browns get the Bengals' 5th round pick. The Bengals will take the Browns' 6th round pick. Ian Rappaport and Tom Pelissero reported this news. They definitely reported that Flacco was on the Browns, not the Broncos like me, but that's why I cover wrestling for a living. Joe Flacco, 41 in January, got benched for rookie Dylan Gabriel. And this is, Flacco basically took the job over like 4 other quarterbacks, one of which is on IR, might not see the field this year, probably won't, might not see the field or the locker room ever for the Browns again in the El Pervo. But Dylan Gabriel is there, Shedeur Sanders is there, and Shedeur Sanders went from like QB 4 or 5 up to QB 2 really, really quickly. I want to hear what you guys think in the chat because I got a lot of feelings about this one. Piranha says Flacco might beat the Packers twice in one season. So that is an interesting notion. So they got this deal done today. And we could see the wheels in motion for a deal because Mike White was released from the practice squad. And things got so bad until the 4th quarter this week that a lot of people were saying, I would rather have Mike White than Jake Browning. Now, we'll get into all that. I was almost to that point. Brett Ripien wasn't the answer. He'll be probably on the practice squad as well because I saw people wanting Browning benched for him. I wasn't at that point, even though we've never really seen what that guy can do. I can't imagine it's great. You know what I mean? Or else he would have ended up somewhere. A lot of first-string quarterbacks that lose their job end up coming back and doing well. Very rarely when you've been around for 6-7 years and never done anything does it go well. So my hope was Jimmy Garoppolo, Andy Dalton, man, and you know those are low hopes there. I know a lot of people said Andy Dalton would never come back because of et cetera, et cetera. I don't care. I wanted to see him back for a number of reasons. I think he's competent, capable in, at least being there for like somebody to take the reins if Jake Browning is going to do what he's been doing, which is close his eyes and lob up moon balls to the other team. What they did last year, I believe it was, they brought in Trevor Siemian to compete with Jake Browning. They brought in, or maybe that was a couple years ago, they brought in Desmond Ridder to compete this year, and Jake Browning beat them out. Jake Browning should be the backup quarterback for this team. But what he has shown over the last few weeks is he probably should not be the starting quarterback. Now, the expectation is that Joe Flacco will be in Cincinnati Wednesday to take first-team reps to prepare for the Packers. If that doesn't happen, I'm not going to be like upset or anything. If they want to give Jake Browning a couple more quarters, and if you go into halftime at the Green Bay Packers game and they've got 3 on the board, or he's got 2 picks, then move on to Joe Flacco. But what I expect is Joe Flacco will be starting. I would have preferred Jimmy Garoppolo. I think he would have fit a little bit better. Andy Dalton, I would have liked too. Winston, listen, if you're worried about picks, Jameis Winston ain't your guy. But again, everybody says it would be fun. Yes, it would be fun. Russell Wilson feels like he gets thrown away once every couple of years. I think that he would have been okay for that. I think he would have been a fair fit for what they're doing. And what is it that they're doing? Because I see a lot of people say, just give up on the season, get a high draft pick. go shove that up your ass. I don't want to root for a losing rollover in week 5 franchise. The Bengals are in second place right now. Second place. They have one less win than the Steelers. Granted, the Steelers had their bye week. They have one less win than the Steelers. They are one Aaron Rodgers ankle roll away from Mason Rudolph trying to keep them afloat, and that's a real possibility. The Browns stink. Now, maybe Gabriel gives them some optimism, and if he doesn't give them optimism, maybe Shedeur gives them optimism. But that's what they're trying to figure out. How do they move on past Deshaun Watson? The Ravens are not good, and Lamar is hurt. This was the year for the Bengals. But as it turns out, this is the year for the Steelers because the Steelers don't give up. Their front office doesn't give up. Their front office always makes moves and tries to do things. Big Ben left. They drafted a quarterback. Didn't work out. So what they do, they went out and they said, all right, you all want to throw away Justin Fields and Russell Wilson? We'll take them. And they did fine. They said, all right, people want to throw away Aaron Rodgers? We'll deal with the media circus. And there hasn't been one with him. And they've been good. That's what I want out of my ownership. I want them to try. Do I wish they tried a little bit harder and got somebody better? Yes, I do. Am I satisfied with what they did so far? Yeah. A pick swap where those 5 and 6s don't really hit for the Bengals anyway. I got no problem with that. Got no problem with that at all. But I see people say, tank, tank, tank. Go shove that up your ass, man. Take that loser mentality somewhere else. That's not what I want. I don't like that at all. T. Higgins was drafted in the 2nd round. Andy Dalton drafted in the 2nd round. Like, you fall 6, 7 picks and you can't find a good first-round talent that will help your team, well, then that's on your scouting staff, which the Bengals definitely need help with there as well. They've missed huge to the point to where I'm like, man, I wish they would just, get rid of Jermaine Burton at this point if they're not going to play him. Maybe there's somebody desperate enough to take him. Doubt it. But Mike White off the practice squad. Joe Flacco, Jake Browning. I at least like having Joe Flacco there as opposed to the other option, which is Brett Ripien. Flacco was not making very good decisions as quarterback of the Browns. 2 TDs, 6 picks, completed 58% of his passes. Granted, he is going to have a significant increase in talent to work with, at least to throw to. He loves throwing to tight ends. He's going to have Noah Fant and Mike Gesicki. He's got Andre Yoshivas, came off of his best game. Mitchell Tinsley has proven himself. And Jamar Chase and T. Higgins are 2 of the best quarterbacks, or 2 of the best wide receivers in the league. The offensive line is going to be tested in such a heavy way with Joe Flacco. He is significantly slower than Jake Browning. Now, one thing that I think that Jake Browning does, honestly, better than a lot of quarterbacks that I see, is that he moves around in and out of the pocket and he avoids sacks very, very well. Like, I'm consistently surprised with his ability to do that. I think he's actually a little bit better at it than Burrow is. Now, the numbers don't always show that, but when you watch the film, you watch him actually extend those plays, you see that. The unfortunate part is when he gets all the time in the world, usually by his own doing, not by the line's doing, it's like he closes his eyes and just launches that thing in the air, and it's one of the worst passes you've ever seen, and the opposing team comes up with it. I don't have any real confidence in the offensive line protecting Joe Flacco. But I like having Joe Flacco there more than not having Joe Flacco there. Does that make sense? And people say, oh, you want 5 wins instead of 2? Yeah, I do. Listen, you can hope for a high draft pick all you want. The only time I've been good with that was when it was clear Dalton was no longer the guy and they benched him. I was good with that because we knew what that meant and who that meant. That was the only time. I'm not good with that this year. I'm not good with that in week 5. I am not good with that when 4 or 5 wins before mid-December could be a situation in which the Bengals end up in the playoffs, because Joe Burrow is undefeated after week 15. Now, granted, it's probably because he hasn't played a lot of them. He stays hurt, but that is an area of which the Bengals are. I think that Joe Flacco is probably going to get sacked 5 or 6 times a game. And Jake Browning wasn't getting sacked 5 or 6 times a game because he was moving around a lot better. I think what they need more than anything is some decision making there. Now, Flacco did beat Green Bay a couple weeks ago, and I say he very loosely. It was 13 points. And let me tell you, the Cincinnati Bengals are going to need to score a lot more than 13 points to win football games because that defense is bad. They get some stops here and there. They make some turnovers happen. The Bengals defense is better this year than last year, if you believe that. Lou Anarumo was no longer a good fit. I'm not sure Al Golden is either, but as it turns out, they just don't have a really talented defense and haven't since Jesse Bates went away. Nobody has respected the Bengals defense since Jesse Bates left. So as I look at that, I'm like, okay, they're going to have to put some points on the board. Will they be more prone to launch the ball? Probably, honestly. And we saw it with Jake Browning. He was more prone to do that. Like Joe Burrow was not throwing deep passes or anything like that. And sometimes it's what you got to do when you've got all this talent. So I feel pretty good about this trade, all things considered. Let's see what you guys have to say. Flacco will still throw 3 picks. Buddy, that's better than assuming that Jake Browning might throw 4. Ain't no way y'all are starting Flacco. It wouldn't surprise me to see Flacco not starting this week. Yeah, I know a lot of people assume it. It wouldn't surprise me. Now, tomorrow will be the tell if he takes first team reps at practice. If that's the case, then yeah, he's probably starting. But I think this is a let's give Jake Browning a kick in the pants here and realize he's going to have to make some better decisions there. There's a lot of good weapons for Joe here. Yeah, that's something I was saying at the beginning of the season, too. It was just a different Joe. The Bengals are collecting quarterbacks named Joe at this point. There you go. Got a WWE 2025 main eventer at QB. Sean, how you feeling? Better than I did 3 hours ago. Better than I did. Best weapons Flacco has ever had. That's the truth, too. Like, I mean, Chase Brown even had a better game, and I was heavily critical of Chase Brown because, listen, you can say it's the line, but when Samaje Perine comes in there and gets 5 or 6 yards a carry, I'm like, all right, then what's different in the line then? I'm glad we have Samaje Perine. I'm so glad we do. Would I like to see Taj Brooks getting some more touches? Yes, but Samaje Perine is sturdy, buddy. Just call me Tay, says, see ya Sunday, Cincy, go Pack, go. Looking forward to that game. It should be pretty terrible. Joe Flacco behind that offensive line will be must-see television. It'll be must-see me throwing my television out the window. Even to get 50% of what Joe Flacco used to be, that's still a good QB. We just need a solid QB. That's really it right now. Why tank? I'm with you. Why tank? Never settle for tanking. One time in my life, I've been fine with that. One time. Don't want to hear it for the Raptors. There's no reason to tank in baseball. None of that. Football, hate it. Hate it. Apologies for the dead air. I'm still overcoming this sinus infection. Tim says, yeah, if you're going to give up on a team, do it after the first week like a real fan. Listen, I gave up on this show last year, doing a watch-along for DraftKings after the Ravens game, and I regretted it. I wouldn't do that with my job. Now, this isn't my job. This is for fun. I do this for my own sanity more than anything. But at that point, it was ruining my sanity. I had season tickets. I was like, man, look at all this money down the drain. I will say this, not renewing my season tickets was a great decision. Chris says, y'all should have got Cousins. My Falcons would have taken a fifth, I bet. So here's the big issue with that, Chris. His contract. Now, the Bengals still have some money to play with, I think, but if they would have taken a fifth straight up for Cousins, I would have loved it. But what about all that money he's making in future years? And I think some of it's still guaranteed. Bengals had the best wide receiver combo in the NFL. Could be a Joe, leads us to the playoff. Let's look at the Bengals schedule here. Because we are in a situation where there is great parity in the NFL right now. I love it. There's one winless team, the Jets, and there are no undefeated teams. And I love that, man. I think the competitive balance elements in the NFL are phenomenal. I wish baseball had them, but I understand why they don't. But I love that. So let's take a look at the schedule. Bengals, Packers. Now, if Joe Flacco pulls off 2 wins over the Packers in 1 year with 2 different teams, that'd be unbelievable. The Bengals are probably not beating the Steelers. They are probably going to beat the Jets at home. They stand a chance of beating the Bears. Stand a chance. Not expecting it. The Patriots, that could be a close one. The Patriots are coming around, doing all right. The Bengals stand an okay chance at beating the Ravens. Like, if for some reason Lamar Jackson is out, that's a maybe win there. And there's 2 of those before Joe gets back. So you look at the Jets, Bears, Patriots, and 2 Ravens games as maybe, I don't know. Then you hopefully have Joe Burrow back for Cardinals, Dolphins, Browns. They can win those 3 games if Burrow is back. The Bengals aren't out of it yet, and I don't think when you're 2-3, you should be giving up on it. Winston sitting in New York doing nothing. He made sense for the Bengals. He did make sense for the Bengals. I would have much preferred him to Joe Flacco, for sure. What do you think the foreseeable record would be? Best case scenario when Joe Burrow comes back? So Joe Burrow is expected back, or hoping to be back, December 14th or 21st game, if all goes well. And that's, again, very optimistic. If they don't win some games, well, like, it's not going to work. They got 2 wins right now. They're beating the Jets. Could beat the Bears. Patriots. They can probably just sneak 1 out in there. I still think they'll probably end up with 6-7 wins. Look at this dipshit. Neil Jennings, OMG, I'm 1 of 4 watching these narcissistic ass clowns. I hate to tell you, buddy. I stream on like 6 platforms. And right now there are 1,900 people watching me. Sorry, Neil. I don't promote my Facebook a lot, but I don't think a lot of people, Neil, are going to Sean Ross Sapp's Facebook to watch me stream about the Bengals. But guess who is? Your bitch ass. Jose says, oh no, we just read that one. Jose says, with Flacco, Bengals avoid playing for the first pick in the draft. They weren't getting the first pick in the draft. Jets are probably ending up with that. They weren't going to get that anyway. If I'm the Bengals looking into the draft to improve defense, look at OSU and Caleb Downs. I don't know a lot about college football. They need to get less expensive on the offensive line and get better on the offensive line. I think that is very, very important. Ted Karras is probably gone after this year. You probably draft a center, but you don't have to get that early. If Orlando Brown Jr. doesn't improve, he's gone. That's going to be big savings. Mike Gesicki, I can't imagine them paying him what he's contracted to next year if something big doesn't happen. The issue ended up being that Browning couldn't read defenses, couldn't find an open wide receiver if his life depended on it. Yeah, and there were plenty of them. Joe Flacco is the AFC North. He really is, man. Like, he's always there. He's just always there. No single guys out there worth tanking for. All the guys in the top 10 of the draft are about the same. Exactly. not a strong draft class from what I understand. Brandon says he played decent for us. We just don't have wide receivers who can catch a ball. Joe should be solid for Cincy. Luis says Bears are cheeks. Lewis says if the Bengals are 6-7 when Burrow comes back, they still have a shot of making the playoffs. Yeah, they do. They do. King of the North says, I don't think there's a shot in hell y'all beat the Pats. I do. TBD. Again, like that's like a month and a half away. Like somebody can tear an ACL. They can do a lot of things there. Burrow will be back for the Ravens game. I hope so. Zach Hicks says, Sean, sorry, man. Joe Flacco was a Colt last year, and he's maybe the worst QB I've ever watched. Well, friend, you should have watched Jake Browning before the fourth quarter of the last couple of weeks. When Shotzi going to get you sponsored by Garage Beer? I'm not a drinker, so that wouldn't make a lot of sense. I mean, listen, I'll do a sponsorship. I don't have any like moral adversarial like thing against alcohol or anything like that at all. It's just I don't know why they'd want to sponsor me because I don't drink. Did the Bengals ever sign their first round pick? Because they're going to end up going back in the draft next year? They did. He's just been injured since the second game, and hopefully he's back soon because they need him. They need him bad. Can't wait for the Bengals versus the Jaguars for the UFC or the AFC Championship Big Cat Bowl. And how about the Jaguars, man? They're doing great. Now, I don't know if that Travis Hunter trade was worth it, but they're still doing great. Newer Bengals fan from Toronto, and all my coworkers never let me hear the end of it. Well, hell, I love that because Toronto is my second home. I love that place. Just love it. And I saw they were trying to get into bars in Toronto, which is weird because, I mean, it's right across. It's not right across. It's near Buffalo. So I just assumed that everybody would be like Bills fans there. NFL is weak this year, so anyone except the Jets have a chance. He's going to be behind your line. He's a statue. Poor man getting old yeller. I mean, listen, I don't disagree with that possibility and probability. That is certainly realistic. There is a significant chance that I am sitting here on Sunday evening talking about Joe Flacco taking 6 or 7 sacks. It's a very realistic possibility. But look, Jake Browning sucked, man. And he had a great fourth quarter, but you can't live and die on that. Can't hope that that's going to always be the case. Like, man, he had the Denver game, no interceptions. Threw the ball 25 times. And I was like, okay, maybe he's figured it out. 3 picks. You can't throw 3, you can't throw like, 8 picks and 124 attempts, man? Jeez, man. Unreal. Well, here we are. I'll be back Sunday talking the Packers-Bengals game. No matter what happens, even if it's 52-3, I will be right here. I want to appreciate all of you for joining me, all of you for sending your chats, all that good stuff. Until next time, my friends, we are out.